In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a whole house fan. We have approximately a 3,300 square foot home, so you need to pull air that's at least 2 to 3 times the volume of your house. And we'll go through the selection process later on, but the model that we ended up picking for our house is the QCCL 7000. This is the classic house fan. Basically, it's a two-speed fan. We did not go with the high efficiency, which is the one that has a brushless motor, um, because the price difference was $150 with our electric rates. If I were to run the unit at low speed, which consumes half the energy that this one does at low speed, you end up recuperating the $150 over like 5 years, 4.5 years. But if we were to run it at the fast speed, still the energy efficient one consumes less electricity than this one, but it would take like 6 or 7 years for me to recoup the delta of $150 in between. It's a very simple calculation. I may show this in the video later on as well. But basically just kind of, we've unwrapped the box. It comes with an owner's guide. This is what the fan looks like. You basically have a pretty significantly large duct. And then you have the damper box. You've got the typical damper that comes with it. As you can see, it's a very skinny damper. No wonder it's called an R5. I strongly doubt it. When the dampers close, you can kind of see that, it doesn't close all the way. So it closes on this side, does not really close on that side. But I mean, we live in California, so we don't get the extreme cold weather. So for those people who live in the colder weather, there is a kit that you can buy. It adds, I believe, on top of this, and the damper gates are much larger. Definitely worth the option. And then it comes with a grill, and it also came with the template, which matches this perimeter. So the template that they give you, you basically install that wherever you're going to cut it. Once you cut the drywall opening is large enough for this unit to sit on the flanges. There's flanges all around. I'll show you the template. The template is this cardboard piece. So installation locations, I've got my air vent right here where the return air goes in. I think I'm just going to go ahead and install it on the other side. I've got a staircase going this way. I did want to install it just in front of it. However, my air handler unit is here. I got pipes going, I think, behind here, which I'll go ahead and find out. But then I would have to work on the back side of my of this box. The height also reduces because the ridge is towards the center of the house, and it goes down to 0 on that side. But however, I've got a water sprinkler. I'm pretty sure this water sprinkler pipe is going in this direction. It would have been perfect to lay it right in front of here. I feel like the joist opening here is larger, so the spacing here is bigger, and then the spacing reduces. But I'll find all that information when I get to the top. So that's basically it for locations for installation, here or here. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the attic, and then I'll show you what the setup looks like. Oh, one other thing before I wanted to point out. The wiring has already been set up so that it is a single speed. It comes with a significantly long cord, so you can plug into your outlet. It comes with a cord already. In the instruction manual, it'll show you how to wire your fan if you are going to do a 2-speed option, and that is with these 2 switches that you had to buy. both of these can be purchased. This is like 10 bucks on Amazon. This is like 20 bucks on Amazon. So another $30 will get you this, but I am going to go with another option, and I'll show that to you later on. So currently we're going to go with the 1-speed. Later on, when I do want to go to 2-speed, I can always refer to this book for the wiring diagram, and that's basically it. So let me get started in the attic first, and then I'll keep you posted on what's going on. So before we start to go into the attic, I want to make sure that I plug the fan in and make sure it works. But before I do any of that stuff, I ended up checking to see if this fan was going to hit the shroud. And as you can see, it's fairly close here, but at other locations it moves away. It's kind of hard for me to get a picture. Here we go. There's a little bit of gap. And at this location, there is less of a gap. So when I initially spun it, this area here seems a little low, so I ended up having to pull it out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pulling it out as well, but just want to make sure that the fan runs and show it to you. And here we go. It's running at full speed. So not bad. When you do test the fan, you want to make sure that the shroud in the back is free, that there's no blockage like we did. And that's basically it. Now it's time for me to quickly make sure I get more clearance, and then we get to the attic. So I'm in the attic, and towards this side, I am going towards the back side of the house, and the air inlet, return air location is right here. So there's my air handler. Basically, I'm not able to install the inlet for the whole house fan in front of the current intake of my air handler. The reason is because I've got some piping in there. I've got a gas pipe going across it. So it's really important for you to first scout the area and make sure that you found a suitable location. So this is the area right next to it. I've got a Ethernet cable to take care of. I've already traced it backwards. I'm not able to move the cable right or left, so I'm just going to have to cut this wire and find a way to splice it. A couple of things to be safe about is you want to make sure that when you stand up, none of these rafters have nails sticking out. Be careful, wear gloves that are tight. The other thing that you want to make sure is you're wearing a mask of some sort, because you don't want to be breathing in the insulation that is up here. That's basically it. My plan, like I said to you, is to install the fan inlet right there, and then we are going to have the pipe come up, and then we'll hang the fan right in the spot right here in this opening right here, and then it'll blow towards that side, and at the end of the run you can see there is an outlet for the air. So that's basically it. So I'm going to get started in laying out where we got our fan, the pipe, and the head all intact up into the attic. We came through this hole right here. We needed 3 people. I needed somebody to be up here already. We sent the end dampener box in first, vertically coming through. He then basically ended up pulling it this way and down this way. I stood on the ladder down below while I had a third person who was walking the motor behind the pipe. Then that person ended up lifting the fan in the planned direction. In other words, the circular they were holding right here, walking the fan this way and upwards, at which point I then assisted holding the fan on one side while they held the fan on the other side, while their feet were at the end of the ladder. Then a fourth person ended up pushing another set of ladder right behind them so that they could walk up the ladder and help me hold the fan, because I wasn't able to hold the fan myself. And as it neared the opening, while the blades were pointing downwards, we tilted the fan on its edge, because from here to about here is how wide the opening is. And then we were able to crunch up the pipe, because it just, takes its shape back again. And we're able to push the fan through in the current position, like this, with the blades pointing sideways. And then both of us push the fan through the opening, through the joist right here, and then through the vertical joist back here. And then that gave enough room for the other person who could then basically come and hold the fan. I now have the block out marked on the drywall. You can see the red mark. We used the cardboard template that came along with it. On this side, I put a 2x4 just in case I want to put a 2x4 down afterwards and then screw in the dampener box into the 2x4. I did not want to break off any of the flanges, so my plan is we drop the dampener box in through the opening, and then we screw from the drywall into the steel flanges to hold the box in place. So with that, I think my layout is done. I do not plan on cutting this from below. I'm going to have someone downstairs who will have a shop vac, and they'll be collecting the dust from down below when I'm cutting it. It'll be much more easier for me to cut from top down than it is going to be for me to look upwards and cut upwards. So I've got this laid out. The other thing that I've gone ahead and done is installed screws into the 2x4. Let me move over. Right there. There's a screw right there that the strap that goes around the fan is going to click into, and there is one on the other side in this 2x4. The thing to note is the screw, as you can see, is not centered in the opening here. That's because the strap is not centered about the housing. So the strap is centered about the motor mounts, I believe, for the fan. So therefore, from the front of the fan to the center of the strap is 6 inches. So what I've done is I've set it so that the housing, when it's hanging, is going to be somewhat relatively centered, and when it turns on and off, it's not going to hit any of the wood. So that's just a thing to point out, to make sure when you install these screws, you do them towards the front and have enough clearance from the front for you to put it. So I think I did it about 10 inches. So this way I have 4 inches in front of the fan and the rafter. So that's basically it. I'm going to get started on cutting the hole for the dampener box. I've got the opening now cut in the drywall, so we're ready to start to drop the fan through the area that I had said. So the next step is now to get that part started. Okay, so in order to get this thing in the final position with the top of the motor over here and the back horizontal, we ended up having to detach the attachment right here. It's just basically a quick clip. This way, in the final condition, I don't have to rotate it and have a twist in the pipe, which would then affect the mounting of my fan. So basically what I've done is I'm disconnected it here. I'm going to now install this first, bring the piping over it, and then get the piping back on it, on top of it, in the horizontal position. This way we won't have any twist in the pipe. Once I have this dampener box in place, I'm going to screw from the drywall into the flanges, which will then hold this secure. When I do drill the from the drywall into the flanges, I'm going to make sure I do not overlap the holes that are going to be for the grill into the flanges. So I'll locate the holes that are to be drilled in for the grill cover, and then avoid those locations so that I don't have a screw on top of a screw, which is not going to be possible. So anyway, so I'm going to get this in place first. Another note to self is I could have removed the dampener box and the fan basically using these quick release clamps. However, I think what ends up happening is on the fan they have tape over it. Alright, so I've got the dampener box placed where I wanted to. And then what I ended up doing is I ended up putting two 2x4s horizontally flat on either side, so that I could screw in from the dampener box into the 2x4s. I ended up doing that on both sides here and on this side as well, as you can see. And from there I have gone ahead and drilled some pilot holes using a very small drill bit through the flanges. As you can see, I marked the edge of the flange or the grill cover, and it's right there, so that this way, in order to hide the screw, I made sure I drilled inside to be able to hold the screw. Just to show you a pre-drilled hole, I've got one drilled right here and another one right there. So I'm going to go ahead and secure the dampener in place, and then we will get started on trying to get the pipe reinstalled on top after I get it in place. Okay, so I've got the pipe reinstalled on top of the dampener. We also went ahead and taped the joint because it wasn't fitting 100%. I even tightened the bolt afterwards, but we ended up putting aluminum tape around the edges, so this way we had no suction or air loss coming through here, because what it was doing was it was creating a slight whistle. Initially I thought about leaving it alone, but after hearing that whistle, ended up taping this whole joint. Just want to show you, we went all the way around and just make sure that the tape is done properly. As far as the installation of the fan, we ended up using the screws that we put on this side instead of one strap on this side and one on the other. What it was doing was it was bringing the fan about 6 inches higher, and that 2x4 was in the way, and it was also creating a sound that was resonating back down the pipe. The thing that I wanted to point out is once we dropped it, we actually got a 90-degree bend, which then helped, I feel like, keeping the fan sound from coming back down again. That's basically it. As I said before, we were going to leave it as a one-speed fan. As you go there, you can see inside. It's a pretty clean opening at the top. On this side, as you can see, there is some overlap of the pipe, but that's just where the joist is. There's nothing that I can do about that. I'm going to step back a little bit so you can see how the fan fits in the opening. That is what it looks like in the opening, so I think it works perfectly fine. That is that. For the wiring, it comes with a significantly long wire. We ended up plugging in one of these outdoor sensor with a timer and a remote unit. It's about 14 bucks from Amazon. It's the Echo Plugs outdoor wireless remote timer. It's got a timer on there. It's got you could run it for 2, 4, 6, or 8 hours, or you can run it off of a sensor. Obviously, that's not what we plan on doing because it's always going to be dark. I've already tested the unit. It's got a full range. We're a pretty large square foot of house. I can be anywhere downstairs, and the fan does turn on. So basically, single speed fan, so that this way I can turn the fan on from anywhere I want. So that is basically the how to install a whole house fan. I hope that this video has helped you show that it's possible. It's very simple. Just need an extra pair of hands to help you move things around. And that's basically it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to address all of those down below. Thank you for watching.